Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lorelines. Fowl and Hawk speaking. We've had a 2-week break. Thanks for bearing with us as we get our stuff together, and we are back. Episode 54, discussing 6.1 Newfound Adventure. I really had fun with this patch, and we were talking a little bit before the stream about how Cobrahan took a full 6 hours to clear it. I didn't know if I took 6 hours and didn't notice because I enjoyed it so much, or if it was shorter. And with that, I'm going to open it up to the crew. Welcome, one and all.
This patch took 6 hours because it was a savory steak.
Steak.
I think maybe were you staring at Azama for 2 hours?
Oh my god.
Only 2? No, that's
a Azama. Well, let's just
counter.
Let's forget about our favorite mom.
I've warmed to you.
Yeah, she's pretty hot.
I've been leveling Reaper, and I must say it is quite satisfying to listen to old new metal soundtracks while leveling.
Old new metal?
Yes, that's a genre.
I know.
Even new metal gets old someday.
I heard that.
But anyways, yes.
Yeah, I guess we'll get into it. I really enjoyed the vibe of it felt like they were true to the promise of like kind of starting over and getting out, like rolling down the windows, just hanging out, going to visit the world a bit. After saving the universe, it's a needed breather, I think.
I like that they did address that, like, compared to your last adventure, this one seems kind of mundane, but it's like you're not doing something to save the world, you're just kind of doing something that you want to do, which I really liked.
We learn that we're being bad boys and girls here.
Totaro saying that, oh, it's so much quieter these days with you everyone not around, when it's secretly the devs like, we know you took a break from doing things, we know you unsubbed, we know you're playing other games.
Imagine playing anything other than Pandemonium every day, every week.
My butt currently in T hell.
No, it's Crystalline Conflict heaven.
I love the new PvP changes.
Say, every time I log on to Twitch and check the 14 channels, it's everyone doing PvP.
I believe it. This game has needed Crystalline Conflict for so long. It fits that arena battlegrounds necessity. And just since we're talking about this, when I logged in on patch day and went to the Wolves Den because I didn't do story for a week, typical foul. There were hundreds of people at Wolves Den and multiple instances, meaning this community has always wanted PvP. We have always had these people here thirsting for it, and they haven't been vocal. And here we are with 5-minute queues for days with Crystalline Conflict. It's absolutely wonderful.
It's even made frontlines tolerable.
Yeah, the new kits have really helped as well. I mean, I've been talking a lot of Paladin, but like, you get 2 dashes, one of them has 2 charges, and you have 3 stuns. It's just, there's so much to do, and there's only 8 buttons. It's amazing.
The new limit breaks, especially, I really enjoy. Like, the machinists literally have a sniper rifle.
It's great.
Yeah, it's so good. I love my white mage in PvP.
Yeah, so we have a lot of fans
here.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not
I
for
don't
everybody.
even like PvP, and I'm like, I can't stop.
It's just not my thing.
Yeah, and that's totally
I will say, I'm not a big PvPer. I didn't enjoy Frontlines at all. I did Crystalline Conflict, and I'll admit I was a little intoxicated at the time, but I actually had a fantastic time with it. I didn't know what I was doing, but I ran around, I hit a bunch of buttons, and I had a good time. And it goes very quickly, and it doesn't feel like it drags on. Because to me, like, Frontlines was like, oh, now we have to run over here. Oh, now we have to run over there. This is just, like, very fast-paced. If you don't like PvP and you don't want to try it, that's entirely fair. But if you're at all on the fence, give it a try, you know? You don't have to be good. You just have to have fun.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of it being an under 5-minute match. I mean, you're basically pushing an ox cart to, it's a tug of war plus combat 5v5. And the new kits are actually tactical. The game has needed this so badly. Depending on what you play, you'll have a different influence on the combat. So, like, my job is to stun healers and get in the way and eat everybody's
And
health
you do.
potions. And
You
I
get
do.
in the way.
I get in the way. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I've been leveling my machinists through a crystalline conflict.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's actually good XP. I mean, you're not legitimately, if you're playing it for 3 hours, try a new class. So those are my recommends.
I've been playing a lot of Samurai, Astrologian, Machinist, and Reaper.
The murder classes.
Yeah, for murder. Astrologian is really good for support too, because the healers aren't quite as like obnoxious as they used to be for the most part.
Yeah.
I've just had some personal drama, just kind of eschew my 6.1 stuff. So, yeah, I killed the 6.01 MSQ day one, but after that, it was just like, well, this came up, and now my week is ruined, and my day is immeasurably blah blah.
Yeah, your disappointment's
blah.
immeasurable, and your day is ruined.
Yep,
Yeah, sorry about that, Amy.
it's whatever.
Indeed.
Drama in
remember-
MMOs is rampant.
Just
It goes
remember,
hand in
you'll
hand.
always have Naldal.
I'm Halone, so
Hey, listen. Poloni's not jealous. You can hang out. He'll be okay.
They do all seem to be buds. I mean,
They're all buds.
no, I did not get a house, and you know why? Because the person that got my house rolled a 3, and I had a 4.
That's a shame.
tragic.
My free
And-
company was able to move.
That bug where 0 was a thing, I thought had moved numbers over 1. So I thought I was screwed out of a house, but after taking a look at it and the devs just kind of confirming that, oh no, it was working correctly if your number was above a certain number. So
Which was 2.
yeah. Which since the correct number was a 3 and mine was a 4, they won fair and square. So here I am kicking the side of my house in the mist.
It's all right. You can visit our
Magic.
house.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. I know. I'm being silly. I will say though, I have seen that there are still some plots open on various
There
wards,
is.
and
There
I don't know
are,
if that's
that's-
still a bug where they haven't accepted till the 20th, or if they're actually open still. I know
I
there's
think
does
it's
sound
more
like
that
a-
it feels like they gave too many plots to FCs only.
Yes, the wards for FCs are empty.
I wouldn't say that's too many necessarily. I'm wondering if a lot of FCs didn't try. I feel like if that many people are like having personal houses, it's just funny to me that so many people are like, my FC can't get a house, my FC can't get a house, and then you look at this and it's like empty wards.
yeah.
So are people just talking nonsense and they want personal houses and they're trying to pass it off as FC, or were the FCs just thinking, oh, I don't have a chance, I won't try, and now they're going to be like, wait, we have a chance.
It's really hard to say.
I'm hesitant to condemn it this soon. Within a month or two, I guess, after the roulettes, you know what I mean? The
Yeah.
bidding starts up again after they get it sorted. I think we'll have a better sense of whether it's too many for the FCs or not.
I mean, bottom line, they could add individual wards to the list and leave the FC wards as they are. It's very hard to predict that, and it's going to vary server to server. So I don't blame them for them being empty, but
Yeah.
if we need more houses, then so be it.
I mean, if they will eventually open it up if they don't fill up, but I'm not really worried about that myself.
Gotcha.
This is something I've discussed with friends before. Like, why don't they do instance housing? Well, they want a community feel. Well, people want more housing. I kind of wish they would go with personal housing instanced. FC housing is a neighborhood,
Agreed.
so that
Right.
you would have the houses that are in these shared areas already have a bunch of people going to them because they're an FC house.
Correct.
Now, obviously, some FCs are only a few people, but some of them are hundreds.
Mhm.
So you're going to get that neighborhood feel that you kind of don't get with a whole bunch of individual houses,
You
in
really
my
don't.
opinion.
Yeah, it's.
I feel
the
like there's a way
suburbs.
to get the thing they want and still create instance housing for individuals.
Yeah, I agree. This goes back to that whole EverQuest 2 housing argument, where it very much was this is a neighborhood, individuals are instance. You can't modify the outside, and that was a huge. Square wanted us to be able to have yards, and so
Yeah.
I think that's just part of the cost of doing business. Otherwise, you end up in a garrison situation from.
Yeah. Besides,
Vusal
if you
Zeinalov.
if you don't have a yard, how can you yell at people who are on your yard to get off your
I
yard?
still think the instance housing thing would have worked if it was just like, hey, let me zone into this instance where this is my house. I have a yard, I have a house and everything. I can decorate it, customize it, whatever. I just can't visit my neighbors. I mean, they may show up in the distance or whatever. Their data may load on my screen, but it's not like I can walk into their house without being like invited into
Yeah.
another instance.
I hate that. I hate that a lot, actually.
I wouldn't prefer that, and I understand why the devs don't want to lean that way, because I've had a lot of cool, and like go over to the market board, someone's there, I'm like, oh hey, how's it going? Hello neighbor.
And
I
we
had
can
that just
instance
this
that
week.
off too. But again, it all boils down to what their servers can and can't
Yeah, exactly.
work out.
But anyway, I guess we should get on the story adventure. So we go back to Mordona and we talk to Tataru.
Do we actually want to discuss
No.
the
Play by
potato?
play? No.
Like,
Potato.
No, I want to talk about the void in Mara City. That's
how do you-
what
Can
I
I
you guys wanna get
discuss real
into?
quick about our adventure garb,
Yeah.
and how much it... I like it, and I also like how much it resembles like almost like a traditional toga in a way, but
Yeah,
not
it does.
quite.
It looks very good with
It's a
the,
little
with the-
uncanny.
So with the buckler you can get from Bazia as a pally, for example, and the sword is it's more of a short sword. It has like kind of medieval mixed with
Like
Greek
an
vibe
ancient
to it.
Greek or
It does.
something like
100%.
I got a very gladiatorial Roman
That's right.
feel from it.
Yeah.
mhm.
It's super cool.
I
And-
immediately put the earring and the necklace on most of my glamour plates.
It fits so well on a lot of things.
I'm having trouble with what pants to go with it. I
You
wish it
wear
came with
pants?
Just go full Spartan.
It's full Spartan.
Yeah, do it
Hmm.
like the Romans did.
Woo! Catboy legs.
I do think that a Roman look is very fitting for the person who was instrumental in finishing off and supplanting the Greek-based culture that was the ancients.
Fully agree.
True.
But I live
I
in
mean, he
Ishgard
was in
now,
the
and it's
first
cold.
cutscene even. He was in that
You-
first cutscene in a
Mhm.
memory. It's like, you should go traveling, see the world. Remember?
You laugh at the Catboy legs being shown, but there are far worse things in this game that have been shown.
Yes, like adventurer plates.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, like all the adventure plates
I
people
don't want to
would
go
do.
down that.
I
Let's
saw-
not.
Well, I have to. You have no choice. I saw
No.
an adventurer plate with a Lalafell in the bottom right corner, and they had the class icon covering their private area.
Oh god.
Yeah,
With a thumbs up.
I've seen that one.
We're not going down that
That
route.
was. There's a lot of this going on. Didn't Square just ask for everyone's adventurer plates on Twitter?
Today, yes, they
Yep.
asked
Yeah.
for it on Twitter.
It's
It
a
is
trap.
I'm like, that's a trap.
It's a trap.
Responding with
Get banned.
exactly. I saw that exact gif. I was
Just
like,
that-
yeah.
I'm just that meme of the guy that's like, that's bait.
Yep.
Yep. So, Somo in chat wants to talk about Estinian's shopping habits and how he does finances. I'm assuming.
He
Well-
claims he's gotten better with money lately.
I think he has, because he only gave over a small pouch of gold coins. Who cares?
Was that all he
This is
had, though?
Tataru's food money, welfare money that I spent all on a map that I think it will take me to the right place.
He doesn't need
And
anything.
if you do the trusts for Zadal, you actually like see him and like Ishtola bantering back and forth about how much he spent on that, and he's like, "So how much treasure is in this vault? Is there only just the one vault?"
It's a lot of gold here.
I actually forget who I took through Alzadal's.
I took Estinian, but not Ishtola.
I didn't take Estinian.
I
He doesn't
took-
deserve a dime of that.
Rude.
Unfortunately, as a dragoon, I felt there was room for only one.
I took
Sorry,
I took
Estinian.
Raha for sure.
I took your eye, and now I took your place.
Because I could have easily muscled my way into getting that map. What's he gonna do?
So I saw some comparisons of the guy who was selling the map that he is in 11, actually.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Wait, can you clarify?
So people were posting side by sides. There's a character in 11 that looks just like the con artist guy who was selling the map.
Oh,
Yes,
interesting.
His name is
Yeah.
exactly the same too.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like coincidence.
I'm
No,
a little
no.
bit curious as to why Retra allows them to be able to just sell stuff like that.
If I recall correctly, Azadal's Legacy is also based on an 11 dungeon as well.
Yeah.
Not a dungeon, a zone.
It's a zone. Okay.
Yeah, it's
So it
a
wouldn't
full-on zone. It's got like 6 maps to it or something because it's huge. It's an
Wow.
entire underground network that goes between the different islands of Ottergan.
So yeah, it was one huge nod to 11.
Mm-hmm. In fact, the areas being called Baflau Remnants, Arapago Remnants, and Zalom Remnants. Those are all references to the in-game areas that were used for salvage in Ottergan expansion. I'm glad that we were missing a lot of the mob types that were in there, though, or I would have just cried, just curled up on the floor and cried.
You would have curled up.
Yep.
See, here I am. I'm still working my way through garbage Citadel, so.
So, yeah, I mean, just to address what Sarah, was it you? My brain, right? But I think you just said you're
Thanks for the
surprised
follow.
that Retra is allowing people to just sell maps. This clearly is not the
Yeah.
first adventurer who went there.
Yeah, and it's like people never return.
Yeah,
and,
like-
and then we learn later what the purpose of the place is. It's like he knew all the time.
Yeah. Why
Yeah,
are
I
you just
He's
telling people
probably
that this is our
pressing them into
goal?
work.
I don't think Retra had a problem with it just because, anyone who is dumb enough to buy a random map off the street and
Deserves to
people weren't
die.
returning it, they kind of deserved it. Because
So this is population control.
yeah, so it's like
Not-
they're sending people to my horde to steal my shit. Yeah, fucking kill them.
Oh,
Not
boy.
to mention that, like, you can only afford to exert so much direct control over what people are selling. Like, there's a degree of harm that you have to be like, no, do not sell soup that has poison in it without telling people there's
That's right.
poison in it.
Yeah.
But if you know that this treasure map is dangerous and you go do it anyway, like, I don't know how to help you.
You notice Retra never asked us where we got the map.
That's a really good point. I hadn't
He
thought about
probably
that.
knew. Maybe
Retra's like, this is kind of a side hustle we got going on to get tax money for resident.
Oh no. So Chris Laverne says, I totally expected to find that other adventurer whose friend we talked to.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. But I guess they're mush, so. Eek.
Tragic.
Tragic mush. I really liked the I liked, I don't even want to call him a swindler. I mean, there are so many hustlers in Ul'dah. I don't blame the dude trying to sell the map. And it's a legitimate map. This is an actual wear. So
Yeah, like if we'd gotten there and run into the barrier, I'd have been like, you bastard. But we got like through, it was like genuine. And I'm just sitting here like, this guy's selling genuine maps. I feel like that's almost more of a scam than selling fake ones. Because at least people are less likely to die.
I fleeced one of the heroes of the final days.
this is what I wanted to
And
get to.
where
I
is
really
he
liked
getting-
that dialogue.
Yeah, that was
the
great.
kid
Let's see.
genuinely felt bad about it.
It's
Yeah.
a perfect con
Survival.
because anyone who buys the map dies. They don't come back to complain.
Huh.
Oh.
But yes, the kid, actually, that was a thing that really struck home for me. The kid being like, I genuinely didn't want to do this. I really didn't want to do this, but I have to survive. I have to feed my sister.
Yep.
I'm desperate.
Oh, you mean the
It's,
Sweeney Todd kid?
Yeah.
Sorry, my wife called. Was like, I've seen.
So I
Sweeney
was going to
Todd.
say what?
I know what's going on.
I wasn't expecting that. Well,
There are legit cons like this elsewhere in the world too.
sure. But yeah, that like emotional thing, like it felt like a tie back to the desperation of the ancients trying to, trying to survive, trying to see their loved ones again or whatever. And then we go and solve the underlying problem and everything's better. And I'm like, gosh, that's a really good idea. We should solve
There-
more underlying problems.
And then
We
we
really
went a hole
should.
to the void.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Wait, that's not a solution.
I mean, talk
I mean,
about
it might be.
solving- Talk about solving problems that ancients created.
I mean, you know how I feel. But seriously, I mean, opening a hole to the void is absolutely going to create problems, but maybe it'll solve them even more long term. We'll find out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to keep being a problem until we go in there and fix it. So
I'm just annoyed they didn't let me go through. Like, if I can't
Same.
be tempered, by, all these primals I fight. I should be fine in the void.
But what
Just
if you
let
get
me-
a scratch?
If
Also,
you can fit
Chris
a baby
Laverne,
through it, you can fit your head through it and just kind of poke around.
Hello,
Chris
anybody
Laverne-
home?
in chat, Chris Laverne said we can just eat all the problems into the void. Problem solved, right?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
You know what?
I
We're
mean,
having problems with garbage piling up. Just start tossing it in.
Oh my god, that's a great idea.
It's just gonna find like random shit just thrown everywhere. What is this?
Oh,
This
yeah,
is made of ether. Go eat it. Shut up. Stop coming
That
here.
would be a great way to discourage the void scent from opening holes to the source.
See, I'm just sitting here like, this sounds like a really good alternative to capital punishment. Just, who needs to maintain prisons in Eorzea when you could just eat all the criminals into the void?
The void becomes Australia.
You're horrible. You're all horrible people.
No, we already have in
Jeez.
Australia. Someone says just send your Reaper buddy in there to bring you back a void beer.
A void beer.
That sounds amazing and deadly, but yes.
Oh no.
Wonder what that would taste like.
No, I'm gonna laugh
Grape
if we get to
soda.
the
It
void.
tastes like
and it's just full
purple.
of
Yeah, it tastes like
trash.
purple.
Tastes like a
But-
12-year-old Corona.
Oh no.
But I will say, I was surprised at how much we did actually get to see of the 13th.
Yes.
Yeah.
Far more than would be created asset-wise if we were not going to go there.
Yeah.
But they could just give us a couple of encounters and not give it zone
Well,
treatment.
they set it up like it's going to be the new Relic series area.
That's an interesting thought.
Huh.
I hadn't even
Because they said,
considered
you know,
it.
we're gonna do it in stages and we'll go progressively further every time. And I'm like, that's exactly what we did in Eureka.
That's true.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that. That's good.
As
Chris,
long as the four fiends aren't fate bosses.
Yes. Oh my god, yes. If Barbarish is a fate boss, I'm going to riot and unsub for all of like 20 seconds.
But if it's a Bajja Citadel style raid encounter,
I'll be okay with that.
yeah.
But yes, Chris says if the void beer is not stout, then you should ask for your money back. If any beer you get is not a stout, you should get your money back.
I'm just sitting here looking at all this. Good one though. I was looking at all this void stuff and looking at Unokalhai, and I'm like, wait, I just brought him to the first. Don't tell me I have to go retrieve him, try and find a way to
No.
bring Tainer to the source as well, because I'm not leaving him out of void stuff. I'll get mad.
No, you just enter the void from the first. You're good.
Void Sun.
Yeah, we can just.
That might
hop
be
in
tricky.
his- hop
I
in
guess
his
they
zone.
can do it though. So
Yeah, they can rip open portals.
that's
themselves.
true. They ripped it open wide enough that some stuff came through. So you know what? We need to get his expertise
Yeah.
and bring it to Vritra and the
Yeah,
alchemists.
Yeah.
It would be really cool if there's at least some like side thing at some point where it's like if you've done the void quests on the first, you get this little bit. That would be so cool.
I'm really excited to see the 13th Warrior of Light crew be engaged.
I mean,
in the
we've seen
story.
2 of them. I think they're the only 2 left, but I'm sure that some of them are still wandering around as void scent.
Well, as
Stares at Xenos'
this-
avatar.
Or even
Yeah.
Golbez could potentially have been one of the last
well,
warriors
that's what I
of
was going to
light.
say. I think
I was
that
gonna say,
actually.
let's go back to Golbez.
Well, that this fits because the Final Fantasy IV story, Golbez is the villain for most of it, and then you learn things, and
Yeah.
was manipulated the
How
whole
sure
time.
are we
How
that
dare
that was
you?
the void though? Because that area the structure looked different to me.
Well, he
It
spoke
seemed
of our
like a
star.
void, not the
And
void.
that was what I was speaking of earlier.
Mm.
Like they said, meanwhile elsewhere instead of at the very end with Xenos'
Mhm.
avatar. Meanwhile in the 13th, so they weren't specific about where Golbez and the Archfiends were.
It's got to be a sanctum on
Exactly.
the 13th. I mean, that's my opinion, but
It reminds me of the Chrysalis, but like different,
So
Yeah.
which seems like very to me.
it reminded me actually of where the second boss of Amarot is, but a little more run down and open. But just
Like a
kind of that
forum.
structure. Yeah, like a forum area.
I'm
And
getting.
yeah, Chris, I wanted to address it. Chris was hoping that the Corvos will be the new relic zone. I was thinking that too because they've been talking about
Same.
Corvos non-stop in
Yeah.
Endwalker. So I think if it's not part of the new relic area, then it's going to be the first zone in 7.0.
I tend to agree with that. I definitely was on the it's going to be the relic area, and I see the point you're making about the void. It does fit. I could see that working as well, but if Corvos ain't our relic area, it better be something.
It's gonna be Dalmasca.
Oh God.
I'm
Please
so
no.
here for it. I'm here for it. All
Everyone
Evilise
says
games
no.
are amazing.
I hear yes. Listen, I want my tactics stuff.
Yeah, I want
You're not
I
gonna
want to
get
go
your
to
tactics
Leamond,
stuff.
and I want to go down the
Yes,
Vagrant
Leamond.
Story dungeons. Like I want to go all the way down to the basement.
We still have not covered Dalmasca Inferior and jungle down there. We've only gone to Orban Monastery, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm just I want more. Give me more. Why can't we have patches every day?
Now you're
Because
sounding
then you would
honest.
never be caught up, since you have to traditionally take a week to do any of your
I want
story.
my
But then
content
you would
now.
always have something to look forward to. It'd be great.
Yep.
But then you'd go to Twitter and someone inevitably would be ahead of you and spoil everything.
I do get spoilers on, but I accept that as part of my. That is unfortunately it's my fault. So who am I to be angry? I just do my best to avoid them.
It is your fault.
Yeah, like if I'm not
I
doing
mean,
it,
look at what
day
happened
one,
when you went through Endwalker. We had to physically go to you in game and to push you along.
I needed another 3 weeks.
What we did is we made our own chat group without him, so we could.
Yep.
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 Meanwhile, everyone else was done with MSQ by the time mid-December. Like everyone except for Fao, who
Yep.
got done with it in
January.
Yep, it took a minute.
No, it didn't. It took a long time, is what it did.
So Chris says, could totally not Golbez be in the Seven Hells if he's not in the Void? I had originally assumed that might be the Hells when I saw it in the trailer. I'm leaning away from it now, but I don't think it's impossible. I do feel like the 12 have something very sketch going on, and we're going to have to go to the Hells and like defeat some terrible
Agreed.
thing.
Right.
But I don't know what it's going to be
Yeah.
at this
Yeah,
point.
I think that 7th portal is going to be to the Hells.
That's
Which-
my take as well.
So you
Which I mean, we'll be
haven't-
talking about Myths of the Realm next week,
Yeah.
but I do have to say, I wonder if we're actually going to end up fighting all of the 12, considering,
I don't think we will be, but yeah, we'll save that
Yeah.
for next week.
Can I just a little piece of humor? I think one of the 12 needs to skip leg day.
Is it
Yeah.
is it Byragot?
That dude needs to knock it off.
I was literally running around in Ulda earlier today, and someone was like, "I want Byragot to crush me between his thighs." So now that you mentioned that, I'm like, "Oh God."
The community has definitely really warmed, pun intended, to all of them, all 4 of them.
Yes.
Technically, all 5 of them.
Next week.
All of them have
Next
people
week.
who are hot for them.
Hmm.
Next
Yep.
week.
Yep.
Yeah. Next
Next
week is
we
going to
can
be.
talk about
the week.
Suzaku 2.0.
Right.
I'm gonna make a new splash video now. That's
Suzy
it.
Q.
That's it. It's happening. It's,
So yeah. Anyways, back to Golbez. I think, unless we're
Yes.
already done
We're
with
bouncing
that.
around.
no, we're bouncing around.
Can we talk about how Estinian's totally going to get mind controlled?
Yes. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
for those that
Let's do
didn't
it.
play 4, I'll let anyone else who's done this take the floor here.
Yeah, sure. I heard that F. So in Final Fantasy IV, the hero's best friend is Kain, the Dragoon, and very early on, things happen, dude disappears, don't know what the heck happened, and he shows up later in a massive betrayal, and eventually he rejoins the party, and then he betrays you again, and he rejoins the party, and he betrays you again, and you're wondering what's going on, and there's this tension between, is he being mind-controlled, or is he being half mind-controlled, or is he evil, is he good? It's tension throughout most of the game till the final chapter.
The irony is that Kain speaks almost exactly like Estinian does.
Yeah, he's very terse, he's very
It's
all
also a
business,
dragoon.
and he's also a Dragoon, so...
And also has a legion of fans.
It's true.
And
He's also
blonde hair.
superficial physical similarity between the two as well.
Yeah. Well, at the
Yes.
end of the game, he takes off his helmet from either Mount
Yep.
Cobbs or Mount Ordeals, and
Yeah, it's. I think it's Mount Ordeal.
it should be Ordeals because the sequel to 4,
Yeah.
which I didn't play, involves Holy Dragoon.
After years.
No one should play that.
Nobody
game.
should play that game,
No
but it does
I'm gonna go
exist
play
and
that
is
game.
canon. So hate yourself.
Canon is just a suggestion.
But I will say
Wow.
that the Matea are something like Matea-ish are the villains in After Years. So.
Yeah, the creator.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
it was Hermes.
he takes off his helmet and you see that long flowing hair. So when Estinian had long hair in Heaven's Word, you knew that was the reference. So yeah,
Yeah.
we could see some mind fuckery going on here.
It'd be interesting too, because I've previously, looked at Estinian's character in that light and been like, oh yes, and then Nidhogg was the thing controlling him.
That's right.
But it
Could
doesn't
happen
mean
again.
they can't bring that thread back. It did come back a number of times in 4.
It did, and to be blunt about it, I mean, going to the void where the story is telling us if you even get a scratch, the void will corrupt your essence.
Yeah.
And there being
a la
another
hero.
brood, broodling in the
Hey,
void
Fao,
somewhere.
consider this, Fao.
Yeah.
The person who was controlling Kane was himself at least mind altered, if not actually controlled by
Right.
another individual.
That's right.
Hmm.
Yeah, the chain of chaos. Yeah, so yeah. Oh, by the way, that person, chaos reigns.
Sorry, I've been playing Stranger of Paradise. Sorry.
And to make matters worse, Neela, that entity was being controlled by something else as well.
I'm assuming that's an after years thing, or I've just forgot.
No. It's the kind of so we have Kane, and then we have Golbez, and then we have Zemus, and then we have Zeromus, the final boss, which is not Zemus. It's like the essence.
I kind of saw
hatred.
them as the same because
I
I
did too,
played this a long time ago. So,
But they're kind of like, I'm still here, but he doesn't identify himself as the same character. It's more like
I
the
see what
essence
you're
of
saying,
hatred in a sort of like ex-Deathian way.
So you're saying don't let hatred take you over and control you.
Yeah,
that's
but
bad.
Well, the lesson of 4 at the end, like the dialogue from the boss, is like your typical tropey. For light to exist, there has to be darkness. Hatred will always dwell in men's hearts. Like that's the lesson of the game. There's some.
Gosh, that sounds kind of familiar. Except switch hatred and despair.
That's right. This is the FF4 expansion.
It really is.
Among others.
Whether they meant
That's
it to be in all
another thing
ways or not.
With the Shadow Dragon, there's a running theory going around that Azhdaya, since she's lost in the 13th, became the Black Knight or Golbez's Shadow Dragon. If you know that Golbez uses something similar to Ranjit, Ranjit's dragon, kind of.
That would make sense because Azdaja is one of the longer Eastern style dragons.
Yeah,
like Leviathan.
Yeah, so this is things to expect for sure.
I can't imagine they're not pulling on it thematically at the least. I'm very interested to see where all that's going to go, to be honest.
Well, since we're talking about 4, the scene where we see Golbez's Shadow Dragon is in the underworld as opposed to the overworld. So the dwarven cavern under the hollow mountain, center of the earth. This is when you're trying to make sure that the crystal is safe behind the dwarven king, Giat, and Golbez shows up, and you're vastly underleveled. There's no chance in hell. And then the character Rydia shows up and saves the day as a very saucy-looking, grown-up summoner in this voluptuous green attire. I love this scene.
Which are you implying that twins will finally get to grow up?
Maybe.
Yeah, which is also tombstone gear now in 14. If you're a caster or a healer,
which is gear.
Yeah, which is very, very fantastic if you play female Highlander.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's the collar's attire, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. But yeah, so maybe I can't think of a character that would show up to save the day during an Azhdaya Golbez encounter, but I'm interested to see if something like this happens.
Oh, I mean, I can think of 13 of them? I'm kidding.
That's cute.
I do know the new set is 4 themed as well. All of the Moonward stuff.
Which is fantastic, but in order to keep it, accurate to the game,
yes,
all the ninjas should have gotten their gear like now instead of when it was released, because that comes in like super late in the game.
This is much closer, I think.
Is Edge coming in super late in the game a reference to, is Ninja being added later than the other ARR classes a reference to this? That's a joke. I'm just joking. But it kind of fits.
I still wear the Moonward attire. It's still so good.
Oh my god, yes.
I'm especially a fan of the caster Moonward gear.
I haven't worn any of it. I really like the artifact gear a lot. Just the base AF gear.
They did a good job.
Specifically, Bard and Gunbreaker they're just amazing.
Going back to the 13th and the Void Portal and everything. So the images that we get of the 13th and the Void are vastly different than what we saw in A Realm Reborn when we went and fought Cloud of Darkness.
I had this thought as well. Yeah.
This is probably in a different area, perhaps, but and then there's that whole thing of they did this twice or 3 times where they kept panning up to the sky, and there's this big hole, and I was like, what? For what reason would they do that? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, there's a hole in World of Darkness raid, but it's bounded by a red moon that's swirling, a moon of dark energy.
But that one's clearly
That's the final.
visible.
That one's the final boss arena.
Yeah, that's...
It actually dispels. I went in with some friends to like really check it out.
Yeah.
And was like, we actually went back to the start and looked up and was like, oh.
Yeah, you actually teleport.
Because it goes away after that.
This one is you look up to the sky and it's just almost like a hurricane, like you're in the eye of a hurricane.
Yeah, it looks very different.
And they did it twice. Once when they kind of partially revealed Xenos' avatar, and then again at the very end where they fully revealed it, and they cut up to the sky again. And so I just kept thinking, like, there has to be a reason they're doing this, and it's a huge tease, and I really want to know why.
My early guess is that it's his M's 13th shard.
Black hole.
I'm really happy they're going into the Void, and I'm happy to see that they are addressing and heading in the direction that I thought they were going to be heading in. The reasoning was a little different. I was glad they clarified that the pact between Cloud of Darkness and Zande was broken when we killed Cloud of Darkness.
Yeah, they did clarify some of this. It was great.
Yeah, so that was good because otherwise when Graha kind of poofed on the base Omicron, that would have null and voided the pact there, and the Void would have been like, yummy, yummy, let's go eat the source. But
that bothers me because it clearly was intact at the end of the raid when Graha wasn't hit after we killed the Cloud. But whatever.
Right.
Semantics.
But I think it's very interesting seeing now where the story could go, where Xenos' avatar, even though, Yoshi P is like, oh, Xenos is dead, but his avatar is not.
Oh, I believe that the reason we're going to the 13th is because they clarified that going to the shards that are, or the reflections that are closest to the source is a lot easier than going to the ones that are furthest. So if you look at the reflections that Graha showed us during Shadowbringers, how they were kind of like represented the hands on a clock, it would be easier to go from let's say the source is the 12, the 12th hand on a clock. It'd be easier to go to 1 or 11 than it would be to go from the 12 to the 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think they're physically located in these locations. I think it's more a representation of like how closely it is in alignment or whatever with the source.
I think they would be closest in like their frequency to the source, so the wall is thinner between them. Yeah. So you would have, in order to get through to the others, you'd have to go through multiple layers, whereas the 1st and the 13th, you only have one layer to get through.
Well, I guess you could say we're going forward and back.
Forward and
No.
back.
How dare you?
Forward and back. Let's go forward and back. Silly.
You're fired.
I know I'm fired.
Fire him, but you don't fire me for making the pun. I see.
No, you're the one that's fired.
But one thing I do think is interesting about introducing Xenos' avatar the way they did, when it said, a world without saviors, it made me think, okay, so it still has Xenos' personality. What if this avatar kind of takes over the Void, unifies everything, and is like, hey, let's go eat the source? And then we still get to see that Void invasion, and then we still have to go to the Void.
Oh, kind of like Black Mage in the 8-bit theater. Someone got it.
I'm really curious
Laughing off
about
camera.
whether or not the void is desynced in time the way that the first used to be, or if it's just kind of like
So, yes, we know that the 13th went really, really fast time wise, because we know that when the 13th fell to now has been between 16,000 and 20,000 years, and the Sundering only happened 12,000 years ago on the source. So it's a drastically huge amount of time.
it's just weird because anytime we send things, you know, to spy on the void, it doesn't seem like much time passes. So I'm just like, is it in a state of near equivalency like the first is?
is
And if
convenient.
so, when the
Don't.
fuck did that happen?
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Here we
Did someone say
go.
time?
I had to mute myself.
I mean, it has to come into play in some way with the
Yeah.
13th.
They could just
So-
not address it. That would be
Yeah,
safe.
so this is kind of the convenience clause to make sure that the game doesn't eat itself and break.
Yeah.
I would say that every time that sorry, my cat is like pawing behind me.
That's serious.
Every time that we travel to another shard, while we are there, and if we have a stable gateway between there and the source, then time is moving at the same rate. If we're not looking, like Boo in Super Mario, then it can move at whatever rate it wants. So when we go back to the next expansion, I expect Guy and Reen to be like in their 30s.
Confirmed Buet on the 13th.
I would say the Warrior of Light, due to plot armor, basically acts as a time anchor, anchoring two shards. Well, they're there together in time. But I would suspect that the portal, the permanent seeming portal in the Ocular, does the same.
Neela,
Hmm.
are you saying that the soul of our Azem is fundamentally outside of time and has time powers?
I mean, we may not be able to access them. There's some weird fate stuff going on. It's either you're destined to do this and time will stand by, or just you being there does it.
SM is the Digidestined.
Ayumi has muted himself and joined the chat with as deflickages.
Yes, accurate.
It's pronounced bottom text.
Thank you.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. I was going to say that.
I did custom deliveries for them in Idleshire.
Jenny says Asm Secret Doctor.
Doctor Who.
Pretty much.
Oh boy.
Man, if we got to do Doctor Who like travels after this, I wouldn't even be mad if it was kind of disjointed. That sounds fun.
It would
Yeah.
absolutely be disjointed, just like the show.
I mean,
Ayumi would
Ayumi.
scream.
What did you
I
say,
would
Sarah?
scream in
I
joy
already
because I
am.
love Doctor Who.
yeah.
Sarah, what did you say?
I just think that would be amazing,
Oh,
and that
yeah.
would be a good way to address different timelines and different like moments, like just little bits and pieces without having to really fully commit like an Elpis.
Yeah, I was gonna say something like that would make Elpis like visits to things like that, places like that, less of awkward.
Do you mind if we backtrack a little bit? There's something stuck in my mind.
Go for it.
So, our favorite cat girl.
Wait, who's our favorite cat girl?
I don't know.
'Cause mine's Managa.
Present and accounted for.
Yes, that's
That's
true.
right.
No, the
It's Sarah.
community's arbitrary, obvious, never-ending, to the point of annoyance favorite cat girl, Y'shtola.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. The froth and foam scene.
Yes.
Hey, that was admittedly, let's be honest, that was awesome.
It was amazing.
Really.
You could really hear the Titania in her voice.
Well, so I thought it was funny that she had no choice but to adopt her 7-year-old personality to cast the spell. Like, that's a choice. That's the director's choice. And so that was
It was
so
very
much
cute to
fun.
see her get to like both be embarrassed by, but also channel that childlike energy.
Oh, it's great. And I really
Yeah.
enjoyed that we got actual backstory for some of these characters, including herself. In the story, they mentioned that she never had a chance to go to the academy because she was apprenticed to Matoya at the age of 7. So basically, think of Chloe Aliapo in Idleshire, or Idleshire, as they apparently have a canonical voice acting for it now.
Idiot Shy.
Yeah. So, but little girl Stola learning to cast familiars is adorable.
Indeed.
So, but also lonely. Need to make all
That's
my
what the familiars are
cowboys.
for.
That's right. They're my friends.
So did anyone else get like really, really sad when the Nixie came out and it was just like dying and horrendously injured from the void energies?
I'm
Yeah,
gonna have
sad.
to go back to my recording because I was fully expecting it to transform into a void woken and we would have to fight it. And I was like, oh my god, it's about to transform. And then it just lay there and
Yeah.
flopped. And I was like, oh,
And
it was anticlimactic because I was expecting more, but that's
I
on
see.
me.
And yeah, but it just reminded me of Elpis about how casually they treated familiars and how familiars then were just the same as living beings now, but without souls. And I was just kind of like, wow, they're
I noticed-
still disposable now.
It's the same thing, but just a tier down. It's like a scale of magnitude different.
Things are still awful if you're a familiar.
On the Nixie subject, though, was the Nixie we fought in that dungeon her Nixie?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I was actually gonna say it was having her summon the Nixies to do this was such a nice callback to the little hints you get in that dungeon of, especially if you run it with Trust and she's in the party, you get a little hint that that's definitely hers.
So her giant boss Nixie with the cloud and the jumping ledge thing.
She made that when she was a
I
kid.
think that one just got out of control because it's been in there a while.
Yeah, it got to hang out in that building with that water reservoir
for 25 years.
Time.
Broth and foam.
No wonder she wanted to play so bad. How lonely. That poor Nixie.
Stuck with Matoya all those years.
So. Oops, we've got a bot. Kill it.
Yeah. Thank
I
you,
bet
Neela.
that I
Neela
bet those
already struck it
Nixies
down.
make a mean cup of tea.
What else can we talk about here?
The fact that frickin' Vritra has a portal to the void buried in the bounty.
Yeah, that's certainly a choice.
And I love that like Hades knew this and just sat on that information.
Yeah, like come on, buddy.
Have you been to the ruins
Rude.
beneath the waters of the bounty? Okay, there's a void gate portal here. So you tell us to go all these other places. There's bound to be some other crazy shit happening there, right?
Here's another thing I gotta bring up. Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
No, sir.
I just found that it was amusing that not once but twice do they bring him up and show his picture, and we're like, "You remember? You remember elbow nudge? You remember when I told you about this? Like
I
just
forgot
a few
already.
months ago."
I really like the fact that him telling us about it, but not being like, also it's a dragon's horde, so don't take any of it, is like directly setting us up for some bad times if we were all buddy with Vritra.
Have fun.
That's very like him, so I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, I enjoyed the personal interactions with the Scions and your opportunity to throw some shade at Y'shtola.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, did you blame her? I wouldn't have touched anything, but you know, Y'shtola.
I played it as my character would have said it, but and I just went back and watched reactions of different streamers, and
so you need to say that if any of you in chat have not responded throwing Y'shtola under the bus, it is one of the greatest reactions in the entire game because it's just that slow head turn and then it's just like a horror movie after that. It's amazing.
Need to see it then. Oh gosh.
It's so funny.
Yeah, anytime I get a chance to tease or jab at Y'shtola, I take it.
You should.
Don't worry, some of us still love her too.
She just takes herself too seriously, okay?
She do.
What about the
Oh, I know what we need to talk about. We need to talk about the library. And one of the books.
I wish I could go back in there. I want to go back in that room.
Yeah, so thank you, Chris, for bringing that up. There is a book in the library. It's not the book you're looking for, but it's another one called An Untitled Goldsmith's Journal.
Yes.
And that book details about a goldsmith being in a world not their own and seeing a void creature that isn't ravenous or hungry, and they're just enraptured by its beauty. The only goldsmith I know that can possibly do that would be Godbert, which would
Oh,
mean that,
and I also
And
want to
his
bring
wife
that
is
up
kind of
too.
funky. So.
which means that Hildebrand's mom would be a Voidsent, making Hildebrand part Voidsent.
Oh no!
By the way,
Okay.
that is also in the level 80 Ninja Quest. It is one of the
Oh.
scrolls that you look up. There's a bunch of scrolls around a house when you're doing Oboro's level 80 quest, and one of them says the exact same thing.
Wow.
Interesting.
There's
I
something like
actually
that in
picked up-
Google too.
I haven't done the that level of Ninja Quest yet, and I actually managed to get the right book in the library on the very first try, so I didn't see any of what the other titles were.
Oh no!
Yeah, neither did
Oh.
I. I want to go read them again when I get there on my ult.
I did it last night, and
Yeah.
I had to think to myself, maybe I should bring this up today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, it's
That's
a
interesting. I
good
hadn't
one.
known that. Actually, I'm really loving all of the Void lore that we're getting teased with. I think we're going to get a lot more, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm really excited that we're finally diving into the Void, like really getting to understand how it works and what makes it.
So I like that we're not. I mean, we seldom get wahaha villains, but I do like that they're seeking salvation of the star, which is just mirroring what we keep seeing everywhere. There's very little true evil that isn't like ambient or
Like the
environmental.
Void Center trying to save their own star, you mean? Or
Exactly.
I would
Well,
argue
they're
the
it's
just
just
Topaz
hungry.
and the Throne of the Elements. Those
yeah.
at
Well,
least
if
the
they're
violent
on
entities.
the 13th, we don't know. They said elsewhere, so.
Well,
Yeah, what
Uh,
they might be aware of what's been going on though. Like I mean, the Asians and Hydaelyn and Zodiac are all gone more or less, and it's like, well, stage is set. We can come in and do what we want now. We just got to get rid of that pesky Warrior of Light.
I can counterpoint what Ayumi has suggested a little bit. It's still not a guarantee, but the scene occurs after we're messing with the portal. And so provided that portal goes to the void, they're feeling that portal being messed with.
And they also mentioned the Cloud of Darkness, too.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's some evidence that this is indeed the 13th, but it isn't explicitly stated. So, but
I just know that speculation is... You got to take it with a grain of salt because you think it's going to go one way and then they take it a completely different way. Well, hell,
Absolutely.
we've had our speculations be completely wrong with Endwalker. So
this game is expert level at misdirection. So I'm taking everything with a grain of salt. But from what I see, that's kind of the direction we're going in.
And I mean, that would make it even more compelling to think that this is just Relic related and that they're going to be doing something completely different for the actual expansion. And we're just seeing like what's going to be in the Relic stuff.
I really want
Surprise.
my Eureka corollary to get in the game so I can play it every day again.
are you the only one among us who has enjoyed Eureka?
No, it's just I use that term to
enjoyed it as well.
encapsulate.
I
all-
love Eureka.
Bosnia.
Yeah, all
Bosnia was
open
the
world
best.
style side story content that is similar to Eureka. I just call Eureka style content.
I liked Eureka more than Bosnia, but I would still accept either one.
Yeah, I just
They
want that
learn
to
from
come
those
into the
two
game.
experiences, and they make something truly memorable.
I'd rather take an ice pick to my temple than play fucking Bosnia anymore.
See, that's how I feel about Eureka. Until you get to Baldesian Arsenal, and then it's great.
Yep.
Valdesian Arsenal was so fun.
I still need to do that.
Like
Part of the reason I did Eureka to begin with was because I saw that they were going to be adding an Ozma mount, and I was like, I must own this. So I spent months grinding up to get to that point.
Yes, I agree. I loved Bosnia much more than Eureka. Anyway,
Back to the Void portal.
yep. Which is held in place by a
A Hanish device, a Hanish alchemical device.
yeah, it's a Hanish alchemical device, but it just reminds me of like those lids that waiters put over food in hotels.
Yes.
And just kind of strapped together by ribbons.
Yeah,
It's
magic
just kind
rope.
of like, I
Okay.
hope it holds.
And you open it, and then there's just all this grape jelly inside, and you're just like, yum, 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 yum.
Yeah.
Are you hungry?
Yes.
I assume
Yes,
that
I
was
am.
just- I assume that's
Never
just
would've
like
guessed.
ambient void corruption that just kind of seeps through.
Yeah, it's just void juice.
Yeah. Also,
It's all
I'm
that,
not sure. I'm not sure why when Ishtola went to Charlene and she's like, I want to rip open a hole to the void, everyone's just kind of like, okay.
I
Smiles
know.
as
Yeah.
it's revealed
Honestly,
the mind.
that was like, I was looking at that and I was like, you know what? Sarah's like high-fiving her and is like, let's do it. She'd be all
Everyone
about
else
that.
was like, "You mean theoretically, right?" And Ishtola just smiles.
Yeah.
Also,
right?
what about that reveal that they made a man-made Atomos to go there to begin with?
That was cool.
That was pretty cool.
That
I
was
think
good.
I think Shola was correct to judge herself for not thinking of that.
The Hanish alchemists were so psyched that they managed to do that, and they sent the idea to Charlene, and Charlene looked at that with horror and
Like,
was like,
what are you
"We will
doing?
never speak of this again."
Like,
Yeah.
I felt kind of bad for him.
It just
It was
shows that
brilliant, you know.
Ishtola never played 11 because Atomos is fucking everywhere in 11. You jump inside.
Yep.
I don't know what they do because I haven't been inside one.
Me
but they're
realizing suddenly right now that if we learn how to make our own Adamus, they could be everywhere in 14 too.
everywhere.
Yeah.
We're in 1.0.
Get an Atomos mountain, ride it around, ride inside.
Oh
I'd
God.
rather not ride around in a mob.
Yeah, that's kind of horrifying.
I think part of
Kind
this
of par for the course.
allowing
Lose
us
our
to
footing,
research
get
this.
teleported to a different dimension.
Oh, that's awful.
But yeah, it was funny to talk to Montshane and Fortunal about getting permission to go into the restricted section. We already knew Montshane was going to say yes, but Fortunal, I wanted to hear his answer.
He needed a little convincing, but he was more willing to listen to us this time.
I think when you save the universe from
Yeah,
a
exactly.
god being, you're given a little bit leeway. But I'm also struck by the notion that when we're not saving the world, we're causing the world to end. Like, can we chill?
Speaking of which,
No.
he was really good in the roll capstone as well, the roll quest.
I've got to tend to my kids. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no
That's
problem.
fine. Yeah, I haven't done the roll quest yet, so but
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm refraining for that reason, but I definitely recommend doing it.
I
I haven't and I won't for a while, so I'm gonna spoil myself.
Okay. Yeah, I would highly. So the actual role quests, take them or leave them. The joint role quests, 100% recommended to do. That quest is extremely important.
The thing I'll say about the capstone, the only thing I'll say is it gave me a wife.
Fair.
I'll get there eventually.
You'll get there today.
No.
No.
Turns out they were just playing with a hose out back. I thought they were dying.
I often play a game of kids being murdered or kids being kids when I hear my niece and nephew shrieking, so
Yeah, that's what that was. So,
high five.
false alarm. Thank goodness. What did I miss? Oh, Amber Fireheart's here. Hello, Amber.
Also, going back to, I know this is kind of jumping around a little bit, but it was also cool to see Y'shtola and going back to the Atomos thing too, going into how Void Sent are summoned. We kind of went through how the Lambs of Dalamud get them summoned through how gargoyles are summoned. Basically, they summon them from the 13th into the stone bodies. Their souls are taken from the 13th into the stone bodies here on the source. And just like our souls kind of left, or the Scion's bodies were left on the source and their souls were pulled to the first, same with the gargoyle from the 13th and onto the source.
So, Ayumi, I have 2 follow-up questions.
Hi.
Question 1. Does this mean that the Amdapori were actually void mages also?
Could be.
And
here I am talking about the Amdapor stuff, and you guys think I'm crazy.
And question 2, did Grahatia make statues of his best buds before summoning the Scions to the first?
I mean, he probably has action figures of us.
I mean, he seems to have he seemed to think that he had made mistakes summoning
Listen.
the scions first, so I'm guessing probably he did not anticipate enough to make statues of them.
Listen,
Okay.
he's basically our biggest fan, so he probably has the collector's edition of the Warrior of Light and pretty much all of our merchandise too, and he shares them with Alice. Probably has a fan club already.
No, maybe he had like action figures from the future 8UC and just like brought them with.
So,
I want to offer the cursed idea of, in order to facilitate the Warrior of Light's travel, he makes a statue of them and then summons the wrong soul in, so everybody looks like the Warrior of Light.
Oh,
the same thing. The same thing.
High five.
Yes.
And then they all make commentary about how the wool has like this or that quality to their body that they find agreeable.
Yeah, and everyone's like, I feel so powerful. I don't want to give this up.
Man, this is great being so tall. Still is like, I can reach stuff on high
Yeah,
shelves.
the only way that you can tell
depending
them
on your
apart-
Warrior of Light, obviously.
Right. The only way you can tell them apart is what they're wearing.
Oh my gosh.
This is Thancred.
Or as he appears in the hit expansion Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker.
Yep.
But yeah, going back to how Void are summons, that's
I did like that. Sorry, I did like that cutscene a lot. It reminded me a lot of the ARR cutscene when we saw how souls cross to the Ethereal Sea and how the Ascians worked.
what I liked to think, especially like during that cutscene, it made me like kind of jokingly just like, man, how many bodies are just kind of lifeless over there at any point in time? Because we keep killing them, and I'm sure they go back, but I mean, at any point they could be in this world, just free because of certain individuals who like to summon things for nefarious deeds, and there could be bodies everywhere on the 13th.
Yeah.
Well,
and there
Void
probably
Scent
are.
are cannibalistic, so
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, man, there's just a field of corpses, and they're all eaten, and when they're killed, they go back to the 13th, and damn, where's my car at?
They have to have some kind of agreement or some kind of like way that they hide themselves when they're on the other side, so they don't get eaten by their
I
friends.
mean,
And they come
I
back
mean,
and it's like,
that scene
like,
though.
dude, where's my car?
I mean, I figure when they go through the portal, they're like, I'm out. I'm not coming back. My body can eat it. I got a new body. I'm going to take over this peasant, and I'm going to raise some hell. That Hauk Manor looks pretty cool. I'm going in there.
I just think it's interesting that we've never killed a single Void Scent. Apparently. Unless
What do you
we
mean
were,
by that?
Well, unless
I mean,
we were
other
on the
than
13th.
like, I mean,
We've
unless
killed a
we
shit
were
ton.
in World of Darkness.
I'm
we
saying,
killed those.
unless we were on the 13th, every Void Scent we've ever killed has gone back home.
Well, no, its soul is here.
No, but
Yeah.
the lore.
So what happens if
so-
we kill the? What happens if Thancred dies on the first?
No, so this is not what I let me try to reclarify. When we have Xenos' Void Scent go back to the 13th, this implies that when your host dies, you go back to the 13th.
He wasn't its host though. He was like a contract with
But
it.
in
It's
the
very
Reaper
different.
storyline, it's shown that
Okay, I
the
haven't
Void
finished that.
Scent can take over the host body.
They can.
Yep.
So
And
this is like a middle ground, and then we have fields of Void Scent being packed, summoned over to the source, and then the idea that when they die, they must maybe go back. So
do
that
they
was
go
what was-
back, or
well,
do they
that's-
go to the Ethereal
I thought
Sea?
they went into a new body.
Well, this is what I'm trying to ask. It's I framed it wrong. I don't know if it's a question or a discussion point, but that's exactly what I'm concerned
Like
about.
that confused
I
me.
feel
got
like
you.
we don't know the answer, and that if we asked Yoshi P, he would look at us like with a exasperated expression.
You
or
decide.
I'd say it's up to your interpretation.
You guys really pay
God
attention
damn.
to the story.
Yeah, of course.
Mhm.
We love your game. Quit being an
Oh my
ass.
God.
So, don't be surprised.
On another
when
note,
we're
can we
keeping
ask
an eye
about
on
your
it.
time travel too?
No.
No, we're done with that.
Sludge
Yeah,
Prince.
Xenos is-
I actually did notice a similarity. I don't know if I would say exact same. Am I wrong? Was it actually the same face?
I wouldn't say it's the same face, but it's the exact same avatar from when
Oh, that's what you mean.
Xenos takes us over in Garlemald. It's the exact same avatar.
Yeah, it's the same
and
avatar. I
it's-
thought Sludge was
yeah.
saying that Xenos' void scent has Xenos' face.
I mean, it could. Half of it's covered by
I don't
hands.
think
So
it really does.
I thought it was distinct.
I didn't think it did, but it was just such a unique avatar that it's only been seen with Xenos, so
Mhm.
I
And
could only
he
associate it with Xenos.
came back to the 13th and he's like, and thus I am returned to this world bereft of saviors.
Yeah,
Which
there was a
is an
similar
interesting point
style.
in itself.
I wonder if this Voidsent's going to be friends with us.
I mean, I've been sitting here like, maybe the next level cap skill for freaking Reaper is going to be using both Xenos' avatar and ours at the same time.
Like Reaper needs to
You
be
mean
any
in
more
a fight,
powerful.
right?
You mean in a fight, right?
In a
I
fight, right?
mean-
Instead of Super Robot Wars, it's Super Avatar Wars.
Oh boy.
Only if Aang and Korra are in it.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna get another y'all are crazy in the chat.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, we've more than earned that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no, we've lost our minds a long time ago.
Bold of you to assume I had one to begin with.
No sane
Mindless.
mind loves an Asian.
What? Who said that? Get out.
Was that canon? I don't know.
It doesn't sound like canon to me.
No, that's canon. We don't acknowledge that here.
Sludge, you can just get that with with Lords of Verminion. Just
That's
practice
true.
there.
Boy. Gosh, what else is there to discuss? It was a big patch, but we've covered a lot of ground.
I mean, talking about Halag, that we found out some new stuff about the Allian Empire, and that as Daja went through a portal that Zade ripped open in the sky.
That had to be one fucking gigantic void portal.
Yeah, in the lore book, it states that the portals were all open on Mericidia, so I was really surprised to learn that they opened the giant one in Mordona.
Well, it
But,
makes sense. I mean, the tower is there, and that's how we entered the 13th in
Yeah,
the World of
but
Darkness.
like Mericidia is supposed to be covered in void portals.
Interesting.
Do you know
Would
aught
be
of its
fun for an
present state of
expansion.
affairs? Well, yes, it's covered in void scent.
Yeah, and void sent zombies basically.
I bet they're fine. I bet every gate closed except for the planar fissures, and there's a civilization there still just doing fine.
I mean, but what I want is like an uneasy truce between the void and the citizens of the source, where it's like, here's the wall, and we keep them out. Beyond this wall, it's no man's land, full of void scent, whatever. On the other side of this wall is civilization.
I'm imagining that Emmett Selleck would not have said current state of affairs if it was just a ruined wasteland with no people.
Well, and moreover,
yeah.
it's probably something fairly recent if he's saying current affairs.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, the idea that the Emperor is just like reading the world newspaper every day.
Yeah.
It's like you backwards savages and frickin' Aors over here. What do you know? Why are you so strong? You seem to not know anything. I don't know. Going somewhere.
I also like how Allag just was like, yeah, a dragon kind of ripped through the portal and the portal shut behind it. We don't need to record that. That's just silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that does make sense. I found that explanation to be satisfactory.
Yeah, it didn't seem all that kind of retconny or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
So-
It almost drew attention to it more than just like not saying anything. Like you could just be like, oh, maybe they thought it was an act. Well, I'm trying to remember exactly what they said, and I'm not summoning it to mind. Could also be like that was redacted out of the records because that's like highly classified intel. That would actually make sense, hey?
How do we feel about Livia's nerfs?
So I actually haven't gone into the MSQ roulette yet. I do plan on going in there soon.
I
It's,
really enjoyed the way they changed the three of them.
Yeah. I feel
Really?
like nothing was really lost lore-wise with the changes, so I'm all for them.
I really want to try it again. I want to run through the entirety of it, either on an alt or in G plus, because it just, I want to see how it feels differently.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It's the mechanics are very much updated. You see some mechanics that show up in Ultima Weapon Bard retelling of it from ARR, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And the mechanics are a little more modernized, so they don't feel like ARR mechanics. It feels like it would be a dungeon that was made now.
They did that for
Nice.
Copperbell Mines too, so it's
Yes.
they
Yeah,
have
several
that
of the
second
low-level ones.
boss, where you originally you just had to stay still. The tank and the healer or whatever would just like in tandem. One would operate the switch, and the other one would just keep it there. Now it's the boss spawns ads, and there's AoEs you have to avoid. And so it's very reminiscent of later dungeons where you have to avoid AoEs and grab mobs on the fly.
Yeah, there's stuff everywhere in that encounter. It's so much more active now. It's nice. I like it.
That's
I like
good
the
because it
update.
was kind of tedious before.
The only thing I
Yes.
don't like is they changed the arena for the final boss so that it's not non-circular, and now it's just a little circle pit, and there's no
Oh,
ads.
that's a little
You
boring.
just burn them down, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of boring
It was a
compared to
cool
what it
shape
was.
before.
Yeah,
That's what we
I
did
like.
before.
I mean, yeah, you just put him in a corner and burned him down, but I mean, he had potential.
Yeah.
I like
was-
the
I was-
visual updates in the MSQ dungeons as well.
Yeah.
Like I'm in Prey
Torak.
right now, and Praetorium looks a lot cleaner now.
Have you
If that
been
makes
in
sense,
Torak?
like
Right,
texture
It even
wise.
has better lighting. Like when you're in the
Mhm.
elevator with Gaius, you actually feel like it's got better lighting.
Now they just need to replace the voices.
Please,
Yeah.
when I saw I had Prey
For whom
pop,
do you fight?
I immediately muted my game sound. I didn't do that yesterday, and it was a mistake.
Hmm. A little off topic, but I was poking through my screenshots to try and find something, and I had forgotten that when it gives us this little talk through of how they're bringing the void scent through, we actually see what looks like just a bunch of void scent chilling on some purple ground, and
Yeah.
I'm just looking at that and like,
Mhm.
that looks like a designed area that's going to be used for other things too.
Yes,
Mhm.
It really
yes,
does. Yeah.
By that.
that's specifically what I was referring to when I was saying this is a lot of assets for a throwaway
assets.
cutscene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that didn't seem like throwaway assets to me either.
No.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing kind of that they did with Garlemald. A lot of assets for just a couple of cutscenes, and then we got the zone. They just replaced the buildings with ruins.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That does remind me of the Garlemald Express, and then rolling into the capital, and then the boss room being the throne room, but there's no floor.
Mm-hmm.
So, have any of you been in like Torak or any of the other dungeons that got
Just-
visual updates?
Totorock is like good enough that I actually wanted to do G posing in there. The lighting is just chef kiss.
I heard they got rid of
And
the
no more
sticky floors.
goo. Yes, no more goo.
I
No
haven't
more
been
slow goo.
personally.
I haven't been either. I need to go.
Some dungeons got more attention than others. Stone Vigil, the only big one was Kosa Shell, the second boss. Is no longer in a room with cannons. It's just in an open like platform that used to be a room with some broken cannons, and it has a different mechanic.
That seems lame, but maybe it's fun.
It's okay. It's educational more than
Is the
anything.
dragon there still that kind of floats around and shoots?
No, Isgebind is still at the end only.
So in the original encounter, Isgebind was actually shooting at us. That's who was out there.
Yeah. Yes, and then now it's Coast Shell brings down a bunch of tornadoes that you have to dodge in a certain manner.
Maybe I'll log in today and try the content I haven't touched yet. This would include the new the hardest boss encounter in the entire game. My brain is not working.
Westwind.
Westwind, thank you. Westwind, Totorak, Praetorium, you said got updates. How sweeping were these updates?
The trust system, or no, rather the duty support system, I thought was hilarious actually at first, because when looking at it, you see all these, you see the crew you get. It's a eager marauder, eager conjurer, eager DPS or whatever. Well, they start out as the base classes in the first 3 dungeons. You start looking through all of the other dungeons, and by the time you get to Praetorium, it's the same guys, only with updated gear, and they all chose a grand company.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
That's RP.
I like that. They developed.
Yeah.
And they didn't die.
Hey.
Yeah, so anyone who has talked to me about this, I had this theory that pretty much in ARR specifically, everyone who went on a dungeon run with us died after. Because whenever you come out of Praetorium, you're alone. You go in with 7 other people, you come out alone.
Yep.
And so I'm just kind of like, oh.
You save Thancred, but not your adventuring buddies. Oops.
Yeah. Everyone else is just kind of left to die.
We should have gone into Sestasha and asked Edda to come along so she could have avoided that whole fiasco altogether.
But you know what? I'm already running healer. I don't need another one.
The dead. How would I get Pals the Dead without her?
That Lalafell friend could have helped.
Fool of a Lalafell.
Fool of a took.
Yeah.
But yeah, the duty support system and the trust system getting updates was great. I still want them to do something with the actual squadrons, because I used those a lot when those came out. And I love the bugs that came with it, where you could just spam.
Oh, Barrage was amazing.
Where you could just spam engage, and their skills would reset. Their skill timers would reset every time you hit engage. So you could literally be doing nothing but spamming that, and mobs would melt. You could finish a dungeon in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was great. So Osoma says, I thought we'd get Beast Tribes, but overall really like the patch. So the patch isn't over. We are getting Beast Tribes. They're just coming a little bit later.
If you go to Thavnair, you can actually see them building the Arkasodara place right now.
Yep.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
So is that going to be a half patch? Is that coming
we're getting like
5,
3
or?
mini patches with Beast Tribes, Tataro's
Ultimate
Quest,
2 days.
yeah,
And the Omega
New
Quest.
Ultimate.
and the Omega Quest.
Amelian's his turn in. Hildebrand's coming back
New
at some point.
Ultimate.
Wait. We get to give Emilians stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to give her stuff.
And then when you get
Stuff.
at the max rank, you get to loot Emilians.
Yep.
You thought adventurer plates were bad.
Just wait. People are gonna ruin that.
Twins.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
Alpha Noah and Alize come home for a visit, and they see her rocking 2B bottoms.
See, she's a custom delivery, but people are going to give her something different than custom delivery.
I mean, they are going to
gonna be
give her
custom
a
already.
custom
Right.
delivery.
Kind of custom delivery, Alpha and Alize new sibling.
Oh my god.
Exactly.
Oh boy, we're
I
bad.
hate you all.
Good.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Jenny Flynn says, I like that they spread it out like that, because 6.1 was pretty big and overwhelming in terms of new things to do already.
It
Yeah.
was, and I'm still trying to get through PvP.
I didn't feel that way. We had this discussion a few weeks ago about like how one perceives a patch. When it's too long, it feels too long. When it's too short, it feels too short. I just enjoyed it. I didn't feel any sort of way and just want more content, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I want more content too. Like,
This
I
patch was
blasted
good.
through the MSQ and the 24-man really quickly, and I did the new Extreme, like, the day of the patch.
Yeah, I haven't found time for the new Extreme, so I'm like, don't hurry too much. I gotta play catch up.
I did one prog party for that, and it seemed appropriately difficult. Although I've heard that once you complete it, some people have been disappointed, like they could have done more with it. But I'm reserving judgment, so.
I mean, I would agree with that. It's one of those... it's a weird Extreme. So, like, I don't really see why they gave 2 totems for it.
Mhm.
I don't think it's one that needed to have 2 totems. I mean, I'm obviously not going to complain about it. But even though there's some mechanics from like the second boss of E12S in the fight, overall it's not that difficult of a fight. And it's not that long either.
How long is
You
it?
can so my group was doing it in around like 8 minutes.
How long was Hades?
Oh, that's short.
Like 13 plus.
Part of the thing with Hades is it's got a couple like transition cutscenes that take a little while too.
Right.
Yeah, and
Which I don't
Neon
know if this one does
Extreme,
because again I haven't unlocked it yet.
like overall it's a very straightforward extreme.
Gear looks sweet though.
I wouldn't be brokenhearted if they just moved to always doing 2 totems.
Yeah,
I mean,
whatever works.
same. They're going to need to at some point with, them continually adding
There's
new
just so many
classes.
different fights.
Yeah.
Maybe just half the cost of the items.
They
Don't
could.
be smart.
Don't be smart.
I mean, I'm using
Shut
the
up.
monk weapon right now, and I've got the gunbreaker weapon, but like as usual, like the mount drop rate is crap. So,
Yeah.
I still haven't seen that drop yet.
It's a reason I often don't rush out to do extremes when they're new.
Same.
I
It
really
doesn't
like.
feel rewarding enough when you only see the mount 6 times, then you hit 99 totems.
Right.
What my group was going to do, we didn't end up doing though, is we were just going to do like 5 clears a night, just casually whenever we raid, so that eventually we would all have the 100 totems. But we're prepping for Dragon Song instead, so.
Well, it feels like we're reaching the end here.
Nice segue from End Singer's aria.
Mm-hmm.
I do enjoy
All in
that
all-
the fight that you do open with the cutscene.
Yeah.
It kind of recenters you in the encounter a little bit. Go ahead, Sarah. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, all in all, this patch really just feel like a complete good package and gave me a lot more than I was expecting to see, even with just the story, but like in general, like in terms of mechanics changes and
One last
little
thing.
quality of life.
The
Sure.
unending codex.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good.
So I don't know how much of that is, and as we call it, Charlean propaganda.
I'm hoping
but,
a lot of it because I didn't like the Heidelin entry very much.
Yeah. So I would suggest taking that with a slight grain of salt. It is good to read over it.
It's-
It is good to refresh your memory over what all happened, but there are also things that they sometimes leave out that you
It's
should read over.
definitely a perspective.
Just like the encyclopedia.
So this is Scion propaganda is what you're saying.
Sounds like.
No, it's Charlotte
You're
propaganda.
only ever going to get your full
I mean,
kind of
most of the songs
perspective if
are-
you get it from multiple sources and decide on your own what you think.
I'm really pleased it's here though, because much like a lot of the other things they've done during Endwalker, we are getting proper explanations, which of course makes our job. Well, let's just say the community knows a lot more than they had in previous expansions, and it's a lot easier to access the information. It seems like every patch we get some like serious exposition about history or a recap on things that were in the past like only loosely stated, and you'd have to go to a short story. They're being a lot more upfront with the world building, I think, which is a nice add. I think the game needed it, and I've noticed that they've just gotten way better at storytelling over the years, and to even have that during the patch content is just very exciting. So I'm glad they're continuing that trend, and I now have faith that that trend will continue. It started in 5.3, in my opinion, and seems like they're keeping after it.
It's good because for people that could not get their hands on the Encyclopedia Eorzea, which Fao is still waiting to get his, and it won't be
August.
until August that
There's
he
a
gets
delay.
his.
I got an email. Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy way in game for you to get your lore.
And with that, I guess we'll close. Any final thoughts?
No, I think we've covered pretty much everything except for Aglaya.
Yeah, so next week we'll be covering Aglaya and the 12 in more detail.
There's a lot to cover there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or uncover.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it.
Hey,
There's a lot to uncover.
they're not wearing that much.
I do have an announcement.
Go for it.
We are looking into, well, two things. We are looking into getting our podcast onto a streaming service so you don't have to always catch us live on Twitch, live on YouTube. So we're going to try and get it on like a streaming service. You can listen to our stuff on like Apple Music and Spotify and stuff like that. We're going through another streaming service outside of those two though. But hopefully we can get that figured out and done soon enough. And then when we're done, we'll put the link on our Twitter so you can listen to that anytime you want.
Yeah, thank you, Ayumi. We just to clarify, we currently have an Anchor.fm account, and we're working on making sure that's configured. That does link directly with Spotify, but we are exploring other outlets as well. So that's in the works. We just need to get the actual ball rolling with file size and upload schedules and all this. But I think we can definitely look forward to that pretty soon. So
makes it very, very easy for those who cannot catch us live to actually catch up. And second announcement, we are looking into doing weekday streams, where these won't be kind of lore focused, but really just kind of like personal streams that you would kind of catch us playing games that we normally would play outside of 14, or you'd catch us playing 14 with. Heck, you may just see us with. You may catch us just personal. How do I put this?
It's a casual way for us to interact more with the community and play games together, and just maybe even do drunk streams occasionally.
Exactly, and it may just be a single person, only one of us on at a time, or it may be a couple of us on at a time. We want to interact more with you guys personally, and we want to be there more often for you guys. So, yeah, more lore Q&As too. I mean, that's a thing, but we definitely want to reach out more, and we want to stream more and put more out there for you guys. So that's one thing that we're looking into doing as well. And check out our Discord. We put it in the links provided there. Fao, anyone else have anything to say?
I'm really excited for not only the patch content coming up, but for the next patches, because I was initially really worried when they were ending Heidelin and Zodiac, because I was like, oh, it's the end of 14, and basically what Yoshi P was worried about, and the direction that they're taking the story in, because I thought it was just going to be a hard reset. It was going to be like, okay, nothing that happened before is going to carry over and be relevant. But I'm really happy to see that a lot of the foundation that we've built up hasn't gone to waste. So I'm very happy about that.
Indeed. I'm so happy for everyone who came out. It's great to have people here. Had a good time today chatting over this. I'm looking forward to next week too. Got a lot to say then too.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
And then data center travel in 6.18 needs to get here soon.
We can finally have an actual in-game all the lore lines peeps together.
Oh, I'm so excited. You have no idea.
Just don't ask me to play healer. I'll kill you all.
It's all right. You can Dark Knight or Ninja.
You can play Time Mage or Astrologian.
All right, friends. Well, we'll close here. It's been a great podcast again. For our YouTube audience, please like, subscribe. For everyone, please share, and for Twitch, please
hit that
follow.
bell. Get a notification.
Yeah, you can just keep after it. We do have YouTube video algorithm now, and we see that something like 75% of our viewers are not subscribed. So it would really help us out. Please do so, and we're going to get better about announcing that at the beginning and mid-stream, and also in our standalone videos. So. But anyway, we'll see you all next week. This has been Lorelines, Fowl and Hawk speaking, and we're signing off. Have a good week, everyone.
Later.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good one all.